Hello, Internet, and let's have a little chat before we jump in. About seven months ago or so, I posted my last Yona of the Dawn video. And the reason I've not been updating the past 7 months is because shortly before that video, I realized I just really hated Evil Twin scans. Their translations felt clunkier than Little Miss and Good Sir. They were very open in their anti-Suwon bias, to the point where it looked like they had changed some lines to be more anti-Suwon. And all in all, I was very unhappy with them, and so I swapped to waiting for the extra week or so for Little Miss and Good Sir. And then MangaDex crashed back in May, as y'all know, or was breached back in May and it was shut down. And Little Miss and Good Sir have been in the wind since March. Not heard hide nor hair of them, not in Yona nor in Akagami for that matter. Don't know when I'm going to get back to that. But anyway, I learned recently that Evil Twin at some point dropped Yona, I think. The current translation is being picked up by some group working with Black Cat. And so I figured, fuck it, let's dive back into Yona. So I spent the past little while refreshing myself on specifically the post-flashback content. It's been a long time since I read anything before that, but I'm very caught up with our post-flashback content. But yeah, with all that, welcome to my live reaction for Yona of the Dawn, chapter 205. When we last left our heroes, Suwon was not on board with Mei-Nyan's plan to sort of team up and, conquer the world, get the dragons for herself, rob Yona of the reincarnation of Hiryu. And Suwon just said no to all of that. She kind of books it, but is quickly caught by Hugh Lee. Yona stops Hugh Lee and Kai-suk from killing her. But she's still kind of put in jail. We see Yona sort of starting to contemplate why exactly she was reincarnated right now, what exactly in this era makes her, or what part of this, what about this era has made Hiryu reincarnate now? There we go. Meanwhile, Mei-Nyan is able to sort of seduce this guard into massaging her wounds. She knocks him out, she stages a breakout, and she finds Hawk, just doing setups in his prison cell, and she's kind of creeped out by him. But yeah, with that, let's dive right on into chapter 205, A Crying Voice in the Night. And we open right where we left off, with Hawk just sort of staring at Mei-Nyan like, who is this woman? And he was counting his sit-ups, I should clarify, because the first thing he asks is, where was I again? Beats me. And Mei-Nyan tells him, you were at 6,544. Ah, thanks. And he lies back down to keep going, 6,545. And Mei-Nyan is shocked that he's just working through her interruption. Is he going to continue? And Hawk asks, and who would the lady be? Aren't there supposed to be sentries outside? And he looks at her, and Mei-Nyan sort of cockily with her sword behind her back. Mei-Nyan is just super fucking cool in this part of the, for the last 10 pages of last chapter, and in this one too, she's just on top of it, kind of mockingly, I suppose. And then Hawk looks at her, you don't look like a prince who came to rescue me. And Mei-Nyan is silent as she kind of sizes up Hawk. That's a hell of a forged body he has there. What crime was he arrested for, I wonder? And of course, he sort of gazes over his abs. And I forgot to mention this little arrow in Hawk's earlier line, pointing to him as the princess in this metaphor. Anyway, Mei-Nyan thinks this guy might be of use. And so, in order to kind of manipulate him, she asks, would you like me to become the prince who came to rescue you? And Hawk sits up, not really. I'm fine. And Mei-Nyan just kind of stares at him. And she kind of gets on her falls over to sort of act like this weak little princess. How come? So you weren't going to escape by my side? And Hawk kind of taunts her, what happened to the prince all of a sudden? Who are you supposed to be now? And Mei-Nyan sort of thinks to herself, frustratedly, I went and spoke plainly in the beginning. I missed my chance to use seduction. So I do like what we're kind of seeing of Mei-Nyan here. She's she has some skill in manipulating people, but she's not great at it. When Suwon rejects her in 204, she's just completely stunned. Hawk is just so weird to her that she can't even think straight at first. So she's a distinctly flawed character, which is a lot of fun. Anyway, Mei-Nyan asks, don't you want to get out of there? And Hawk just looks at her, and he just calmly says, I'm good. Good? There were 4 sentries outside this room. Aren't you a heinous criminal? You're getting killed for sure. And Hawk puts his robe back on as he thinks, doesn't matter if there are 4 people or whatever. I honestly wasn't thinking of escaping. And then Mei-Nyan rants, that Suwon guy doesn't bat an eyelid to send people to death. Doesn't matter whether you're a relative or a woman. I mean, sure. We have Evil Twin and their general sort of ramping up anything that's anti-Suwon. I'm going to ignore them for now because they are who they are. And Mei-Nyan asks, are you a relative of Suwon's? Oh no, that's Hawk. Okay. Right. So he's automatically already working out who she is. Because she is, in the end, a relative of Suwon. But Mei-Nyan kind of deflects, no, I'm talking of someone else. And she then asks, do you know the gardens inside this castle? And then Hawk responds, yeah, sort of. I used to go there often, but... And he has this image of the young him and Suwon and Yona playing together in their youth. And then asks, what of it? And Mei-Nyan presses, I'll break you out. Huh? I said I'm fine. I don't know who you are. Go find someone else. But Mei-Nyan is not taking no for an answer here. I've decided on you. Why? You're easy to talk with. And Hawk sort of sighs, thank you for that. And Mei-Nyan says, so as fellow prisoners, we should get along. And then she feels the sudden throb of the illness taking over. And she falls to her knees, grabs her head, and Hawk sort of looks at her before he quite processes what's happened. Fellow prisoners don't get along, though? And then he realizes that she's fallen over. What's wrong? Hey. And she doesn't respond. She's just still holding her head and, shuddering. Ugh. Fuck. No matter where I go, is death all that awaits me? And she is not pleased to be in the situation that she's in. Hawk just sort of looks at her. And then Mei-Nyan collects herself after that bit of pain and opens the door. Get out. And Hawk looks at her. Excuse me? And now it's much more... Her vibe is much more threatening now. It's less sort of please come with me. It's you're fucking going with me right now. Now listen, come with me. If you guide me to the gardens, I'll let you go. And Hawk is so casual, I refuse. And Mei-Nyan goes on, isn't there anyone you want to get out of here and meet? And Hawk answers honestly, there is. I want to meet someone so badly. But if I act solely under the sway of my emotions now, that someone will try to protect me. And because I don't want to cause her trouble, I've decided to wait right here. Hawk is just such a good guy. I love him so much. He's just good. I mean, also, he's aware at this point that, Kai-suk is not going to kill him. That's beyond everything else, beyond the strike to Koka's war machine, this close to the war with Kai. It's just... He'll ruin the alliance with Yona if he dies here. So Hawk is safe in the prison cell, and, he's probably better off in the prison cell, giving Yona one less thing to worry about. Anyway, he then says to Mei-Nyan, you're free to go as you please, but I'm not going even if you open the door. And Mei-Nyan sort of looks at him and walks away, kind of weakly, and she just leaves. That's it. That's the end of that plan. She heads down the hall. We see her. She's struck down a bunch more guards. She's, making her way through the castle and is lost. Shit. Which way is the garden? And then she hears, it's the little critter thing. It's Ho. Ho is the name. She had muttered Ho-chan in the last chapter, and I didn't quite realize that was the name of her thing. Oh, I see what's going on. She didn't find it. That's when she lost it. That panel at the bottom of page 12, bottom right of 12. And so what she wants to go to the garden for is to find Ho, not knowing that Ho is with Ao and Yona and her gang. My little Ho, come out. My little Ho. Saying that without context is very weird. Come to me. And then she flashes back to her scene with her past kind of frustrations with with various characters, with Suwon, who turning her down. I'll pass. I dislike the Crimson Dragon King, you see. And then with the head emissary, being a companion to His Highness is cause for pride, no? Did Evil Twin translate consort as companion? Because that's just some bad translation. I know I'm like already very anti this group, just after all the time I spent using them late 2020, early 2021. But, like, that's just a bad bit of translation there. I think I had already swapped over to LMGS by the time I got to that. And it's just much better. Anyway, Hawk, and then back to Hawk earlier. You're free to go as you please. I'm not going. And she still calls out, my little hoe. I came here ready to leave everything behind except for my little hoe. And now, and she's, like, breaking down. We're seeing a bit of an emotional weakness here we haven't really seen in the past. Which is nice. It's nice that she's a bit more of a three-dimensional villain after this. I don't know where I should go. And then she hears this rustling. Ah! And she turns back with her blade, ready to fight. And then she falls over into unconsciousness. Wasn't there something in the flashback arc with some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? A put you to sleep kind of drug? There's a word that I'm not thinking of. My brain is going to aphrodisiac, and I know that's not right. Either way, she's unconscious, and we cut to what looks like maybe that morning. As we come back towards Yona's quarters, with Ho still kind of hiding under the pillows as Ao tries to reach out to her. And Shiina looks, it's scared. And Yona tells it, it's okay. Today I'm going to take it to Mei-Nyan. Hang in there, okay? And then someone calls in, Princess! Oh, it is Min-Su. I've heard that Miss Mei-Nyan isn't in her cell. What? And Kija asked, she's escaped? Min-Su responds, I'm afraid so. But something strange. Word is that the 4 soldiers in front of Lord Hawk's cell got stabbed. And what's more, it seems that somehow Lord Hawk's cell has been opened with a key. Shocking Yona. Of course, Hawk is still there, so they can't really fairly get onto him for that. Anyway, Min-Su goes on. Lord Hawk's being questioned as to whether that has a connection to Miss Mei-Nyan's jailbreak. And Yona asks, Hawk remained in his cell, right? Yes. He was doing fitness training inside the open cell or something. We stand a king right there. What a man Hawk is. Yona's just sort of like dumb-faced there. Fitness training? And Min-Su goes on. They're searching for Miss Mei-Nyan now. And Yona goes over to comfort Ho. It's okay. She'll be found soon, no doubt about it. And then she thinks though, but assuming she's found, after having broken out, Mei-Nyan's situation will become much more precarious. Where's she now? And Jae-ha sort of thinking about all this. Hawk's sentries getting stabbed and his cell being breached are quite odd, right? But Yona tells him, Hawk didn't do anything. I know that. Then Jae-ha kind of continues to think, however, it's troublesome that my mind can only wander towards fairly indecent explanations. And Zeno stops him. Don't wander. Come back. The last is right here. And Yona innocently all of a sudden asked, indecent? And Min-Su has a sudden realization. Now I think of it. Miss Mei-Nyan's own sentry did say she used seduction techniques on him, but... Oh, and that's where Jae-ha was going. I knew it. Hawk was also her prey. And Yona whacks him. Totally not. And then we come to the library, where Yoon has been. All this time. I've missed Yoon. It's been a while since we've seen Yoon do much. Yoon? Some random scholar, I guess. Quite enthusiastic, aren't you? Studying medicinal herbs today as well. And Eunice answers, yes. The South Kai... And then I think this is the other guy. The South Kai delegation have returned home, but in case war does break out, we'd like you to join us in the medical corps. And Yoon responds, I'll think about it. And then Yoon thinks as he walks through the palace, I wonder whether their going home means that Yona's been cleared of suspicion of having killed the dignitary. I was relieved that she wasn't taken into custody or anything. I don't know whether the alliance with King Suwon is going smoothly. Still, if I try talking to them, the people in the Crimson Dragon Castle aren't bad. I think coming here was a good move. I do wish we got to see more of Yoon interacting with the dragons. I feel like he's been kind of sequestered off to his own for like a long, long time now. And I've missed him being an active player. Anyway, I'm ashamed to have believed only my gut feelings and thought I knew all about them. But of course, there's no way I'll accept what other people say, that nothing could be done about the poor treatment Yona received. So, I'm trying to go back to what exactly he's referring to. Is that just generally the throwing Yona out of the castle and trying to kill her for the first couple hundred chapters, or was there something? Or was there something that happened before the flashback when they first sort of came to the castle he's referring to in particular? It's just been so damn long. It has been so long. I don't remember anymore. But also, we're seeing with that first panel on page 21 more of the kind of shading of the Suwon's court that our friendly neighborhood scanlators would very much like to not be there. But anyway, there's no way I'll accept what other people say. Nothing could be done about the poor treatment Yona received. And then we see him working with some herbs. Now then. And he looks up. You've regained consciousness? Oh! It's Mei-Nyan. He's the one who found Mei-Nyan last night. He must have somehow knocked her out with a drug or something. I mean, like, that would make sense given Yoon's sort of specialties. But I'm shocked he was able to make that work with her waving a sword at him. Anyway, she sits up, and Yoon walks over. You shouldn't get up. She's just kind of silent there, and Yoon tells her, I'm going to replace your bandages now. And she's sort of like eyes widen, maybe sort of a he'll see me naked kind of thing. Yeah, there we go. And she like whacks at him. Bastard, who are you? And he like barely gets out of the way. And Mei-Nyan, now that she's kind of come to consciousness, sort of come to clarity as well, takes stock of her situation. My sword's gone. But I can take care of this kid with my fists. But just with that, she's just kind of dizzy again. And Yoon tells her, please don't make sudden movements. Your wounds will open up. I'm Yoon, an apothecary. And Mei-Nyan thinks, an apothecary? And this place is... and Yoon tells her, we're inside the Crimson Dragon Castle. You collapsed under your wounds yesterday. Oh, so it wasn't that he did anything to knock her out. That was just the moment she had had enough and she just passed out. Okay, that makes more sense. And Yoon goes on, because your condition was dangerous, I brought you here. It's troublesome if you do, so please refrain from acting violently until you're healed. And Mei-Nyan is 100% not trusting of Yoon. Is this a trap? I'm clearly someone suspicious, and yet... and he makes some soup for her. Want to have some dumpling soup? And we see the word appetizing literally like rising from the soup. And Mei-Nyan takes it. She's a little cautious, but she does sip it. Because it's just too good for her to stop. What a relief, you can eat. And then he tells her, you can have seconds. And she looks down at what I'm guessing is a new bowl, and she just kind of sips it. Kind of at peace now. Safe for the time being. Admittedly, she's still in a castle with people who kind of want to kill her, but... or at the very least, capture her. But for the moment, she's kind of safe. Anyway, we now cut to somewhere far outside of the castle. I'm guessing this is with the South Kai dignitaries who left last chapter. And yeah, there they are. With the sort of older, fatter, balding one saying, woo, we're finally on our way back to Jijing. And our leader Longbeard sighs, seriously, what an awful experience. Even if they're on His Highness's orders, I absolutely don't want to go on delegations for a while now. And then Longbeard looks out, someone's coming. That's General Vall. I'm guessing this is one of Kai's guys. He walks up to the carriage, I've come to meet you. And Longbeard tells him, General Vall, thank you for your hard work. We're truly exhausted. Between the thing with Lanton and whatnot, we've been through a lot. Koka's king and princess are two cunning foxes. And Vall just sort of stares at him silently, and then asks, I'm sorry, but where's Lady Mei-Nyan? And Longbeard, because remember last time, Suwon had Kai-suk tell the dignitaries that Mei-Nyan had left ahead of them. And so he's kind of confused. Lady Mei-Nyan? It seems she's gone back to Jijing ahead of us. Isn't she fawning over His Highness right now? I've had my share of noble women running wild. Gosh. And as the carriage heads off, Vall kind of stops, looks disgusted at the dignitaries. I like him already. And that's sort of where we leave off. But anyway, so with that, that's our first chapter of the long effort to catch up. I'm going to say I'm going to try to do a Yona chapter a day. These are kind of a deeper, more complex series than most of what I cover, so I kind of have to do it one at a time, or else I'll just get swamped, I think. But there is a lot to like here. I really like the Hawk and Mei-Nyan scene, as Hawk is just like, yeah, you can do what you want, but I know what I'm here for. You know, I have my reasons for staying here, and I will stay no matter what. For Yona, he's doing it for Yona, and it's good, and I love it. It's some good shit. Mei-Nyan, though, is not exactly on board with that. But the more we get of Mei-Nyan, the more I like her. She's like a very sort of, there's a nice depth to her. That's always good to see. Admittedly, this is a series with very complex villains. It's a series with Suwon. No matter what Evil Twins wants to say about how complex he might be, he's, you know, a great villain for a reason. But anyway, where was I? But yeah, the scene is just a lot of fun. Mei-Nyan, both with this scene and her scene with Yoon, and her scene kind of breaking down in the courtyard before she passes out, is just a bunch of really great moments shading her. You know, she has very different reactions in very different situations, which makes her feel much more three-dimensional than, say, if she was just always cunning, always scheming, always on top, or always mid-breakdown. She's just a really fun villain, and I really want to see how she plays out. Then we get Yona learning about Mei-Nyan's departure and Hawk's kind of potential role in it. And there's not a lot to say about that scene. It's just sort of, it's a funny gag as Jae-ha starts to assume, right, that Mei-Nyan tried to seduce Hawk, and Yona just does not allow it. It's a good bit. But then we get Yoon and Mei-Nyan again. Seeing Yoon finally get to be like an active role in the story. I missed him so much. He's just a good lad. I love this kid. And it's been too long since we've seen Yoon taking like an active role in the plot, I think. So yeah, we'll see what comes of Yoon and Mei-Nyan's relationship. I did see just a second ago when I was flipping through the last 3 pages, this bit about Mei-Nyan will be the guinea pig for using the Senjutsu to cure the Crimson Illness, which would fit with meeting Yoon. So that's very much what could kind of be set up there, but we'll have to wait and see. And then we meet General Vall at the end, who, just on how little he likes these dignitaries, I like him. I like him already. He's fun. I hope we see more of him. I imagine we will as the war starts to kind of kick off. But yeah, it's fun getting back into Yona. It's a really fun series, and I can't wait to work through these last 10-ish chapters. I think 215 is the latest one. So after this, there's still 10 chapters to do. I'll try to be caught up with Yona by the end of the month, because I think next chapter isn't until November, I think. Let me go to the Reddit. Yeah, the next chapter is November 5th, so I'll try to be caught up by then, and so that will be, on November 5th, or close to November 5th, whenever the current, however fast the current group gets their translations out. But yeah, it's just a good time. It's nice to be back with Yona. And I'm excited to see where all this is going, both with Mei-Nyan and Yoon, with the burgeoning war with Kai. All of these themes are starting to pick up, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see all of this play out. So, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!